connections of 500. Oh, there he is. Look at Troy. What's up, buddy?
Hey, hey.
Good to see you.
I didn't realize I should have just clicked that link you sent in the feed. I'm sorry.
No worries,
I'm
man. No worries. It's perfect timing.
just
So
trying to make sure I get all my ducks in the row, so to speak.
there you go, man. We were just Ava, you hit 440, past 500. Good job, guys, on the connections. All right, next time we'll help for those who need a boost on the connections. But I want to get cranking with our next guest today. And so when did we meet, Troy? I don't know how long it's been. Maybe probably like 5 years, 6 years, maybe more.
Hey, Jordy, are you seeing me okay?
Yeah, you're good, man.
Okay, I'm just seeing a big still frame. I didn't know.
We'll pin you in a second. It'll come through.
Okay, yeah.
But what
Yeah,
was it? It was probably like 6, 7 years. I don't know how long. I
it's
reached
it's
out.
it's been more than five and less than 10. That's how I do my math now. I just round up or down.
When I sort of in the first few years, I was like, I want to do this video. I didn't know what to do, and I found Troy on LinkedIn, and I said, "Is there any way you can help me with this?" And he said, "Absolutely, if it's for our vets." And we've been friends ever since, and just a
Yeah.
guy I admire and respect so much. He is such a great advocate for this community, and just drops everything he's doing whenever I reach out and say, "Hey, do you want to come on and help out?" And he just always comes through. And that's why I just truly love about this guy so much is he how much he cares for all of you. So Troy, he spent a career. He started out in the Army, and we'll get to hear all about it. But he worked in media production. And after that experience, he went into television as a director, and then he did some video producing, and now he runs his own company. He's one of our country's top voice actors, and after you guys hear him today, you will start recognizing his voice all over the place. But before I let you talk and say hello, Troy, I want to show you guys a quick. Can I show your sizzle reel? You cool with
You can
that?
show anything you want. You're the
All
host,
right.
Jordy.
All right, because it's oh wait, let me just wait. I gotta do this again. Hold on. Forgot to do the audio. Share sound. All right. I have it queued up, so we're good to go. Get off of there. Replay.
Introducing to America the new Alfa Romeo Giulia, a great Italian opera. This is an away suitcase. It's designed to make travel easier. You can pack more into it because of this thing, so you don't have to deal with that thing. It's about being healthier, not the healthiest. It's food that feeds you, not just fills you. It's about making habits you can keep. It's Daily Harvest. Introducing Pick 2 Tuesday and enjoy a different deal every weekday. It's 5 days, 5 deals, $15. It's time for another choice in cattle health. We're Huvie Pharma, and we're not just new choices. We're new possibilities. For less than the cost of extra guac for a year, you can have NFL Sunday Ticket.tv. Paperbird. Products that are highly designed, highly effective, and highly under budget.
All right. And so the reason I wanted Troy to spend time with you guys is because, as you see, he is an expert at voice and communication, and so much of what you will be doing when you go to present yourself to hiring managers, to influencers, to people you network with, you're going to need to communicate with them one-on-one or over Zoom. And I want you guys to come out with that confident voice, with that, the pronunciation, with getting over any awkwardness that you feel. And he put together, because he's been doing this a while with us, all these little tips and suggestions for you. So Troy, thank you so much, buddy, for coming on once again. We appreciate you.
Thank you, Jordy. It is an honor to be here speaking with the America's heroes. A special thank you to each and every one of you service members that are actively serving and getting ready to make that big transition to the next chapter. And so I would take my hat off, but the glare would be too great. So I'll just do that to you, a hat tip and a salute. And I appreciate everything you folks have done.
That's great, man. Hey, why don't you give everyone a little quick overview of your background and where you are today? All those moves and your transition and those different pivots you've had and how you ended up where you are. And then we'll get into the good stuff or the
Absolutely,
also
absolutely,
good stuff.
Jordy. Thank you. Yeah, each time I do this, we travel further back in time, and it's like I need to make notes, but I'll try to just keep it as brief as I can. Um, I joined the U.S. Army. Well, first of all, my name is Troy W. Hudson. I'm a voice actor, on-camera guy, and a storyteller. That's as succinct as I can get it because there's a lot that goes into that, and a lot I do every day running my own business. But my way back when, I joined the U.S. Army in the early 80s, went to basic at Fort Jackson, South Carolina, and didn't know what I was going to do, didn't know what I wanted to do. I had no clue. I was out of high school. My stepfather was actually an Army recruiter, and he had this long list of stuff, and he says, Troy, what do you like to do? And I said, well, I like to stand in front of the mirror and impersonate Elvis and do character voices. And he kind of looked at me and he's like, um, okay, the closest thing we can come to essentially is radio, TV production, and the military actually has that. And I was like, sign me up. It was kind of crazy. I submitted an audition tape on cassette back then to the Radio Information Defense Information School that was at that time at Fort Ben Harrison, Indiana. And in spite of my Southern twang that I had not outgrown living in Tennessee most of my life up to that point, and then moving to Utah, which kind of flattened it out a little bit enough that they accepted me with little footnotes that said, we hear a kind of a Southern thing there, but we can work with that. So I went to the school at Fort Ben Harrison in the freezing cold winter of 1983, and then got assigned to the most amazing post that I was thinking was the worst place that a U.S. Army broadcaster could go. They taught me radio production. They taught me TV production. They taught me how to write. They gave me journalism courses. It was like this whirlwind smash degree course in radio, TV, broadcast journalism. And they did what they could with the accent at the time. And, that was what it was. So I went from there to Fort Bragg, North Carolina. Not the primo assignment I thought I was going to get coming out of broadcasting school. It was supposed to be either AFKN in Korea or AF, I don't remember the other one, the one in Europe. And neither one of those happened. And those were kind of like the dream assignments. And so I go to Bragg, and they had zero for me to do. And so I'm thinking, boy, I'm in a bad spot. 3 years in a PSYOPs unit at First Special Operations Command, and I had nothing to do. They didn't have a job for me. So luckily, there was a facility on the other side of post at the 18th Airborne Corps at the time. They had a radio station. They had a TV production kicking off. And somebody found out. I think I put in enough requests or whined enough. I'm not sure what it was. I was like, use me, use me. And finally, they figured out, let's put him on special duty assignment, send him over to the 18th Airborne Corps. Let's let him do his thing. And then if we have something to do, or we want to send him down to Grenada or wherever we're going to send a PSYOPs broadcaster, we'll send him there. So they sent me across post, and for 18 months, I worked on a television show as a host. I wrote, I shot video. I worked in radio production doing commercials. I produced specials. I was in the morning on-air guy. It was the sweet spot that I never thought I was going to experience being at Fort Bragg, because that was just, they didn't have anything for me, but there was this little niche. And I thank God every day for that opportunity, because after about 18 months, the PSYOPs unit, the Strategic Dissemination Company of PSYOPs, built a multi-million-dollar broadcast facility that rivaled at the time, on-air broadcast network stuff. And they spent all this money, and they brought in this consultant group, and they trained us. And for the latter half, the from 83 to 89. In 86, they they let me do, some of the most amazing editing and documentary work, and I still got to shoot, I got to edit, I got to do voiceover work, and so it was perfect. In 89, I transitioned out of the military, and I thought, hey, with this experience, come on, I can't miss, right? I missed. I missed. I At the time, this is when you mailed out resumes, and I mailed out probably close to 200 resumes and got zilch. And so for 8 months, my wife and I and two little babies lived in our in-laws' downstairs bedroom, and I ended up being a construction laborer cleaning out houses and waiting for an opportunity in Columbia, South Carolina. Eventually, I saw a job listing, two job listings. I saw one for a forklift operator for a hazardous waste company, and I saw an opportunity as a production director at a local ABC station affiliate in Columbia. Well, the forklift driver job paid more than the TV job. And my wife was like, "We need out of here. Just take the job." And I was like, "I'm sorry, babe. I can't do this." After 8 months of this and, a very humbling experience, I was like, I've got to take the TV job. She supported it, and it was the best decision ever. For about a year and a month, I did that, and I went from there to a corporate communications job doing media production. They essentially let me do everything I was doing in the military on camera, voiceover, shooting video. I really fine-tuned my video editing skills and graphic work. And so I went from there, and from 91 to 2000, I was in the corporate area, corporate communications, and from 2000 to 2012, I worked in a commercial production house strictly as a video editor and a graphic designer. And that was a phenomenal experience. The pay jumped in the commercial sector versus the corporate sector. We were able to get a bigger house. By that time, we had 4 kids, all teenagers. You don't group them together at that point. They've got to have their own room. So that worked out well. And so going from there, everything was going along well. I was making really good salary at the time in 2012. Work was kind of slowing down. They thinned out the department at the media company I was working at. And one day the boss walked in and he said, "Troy, we're going to have to let you go. And we're going to give you 2 weeks." And that was October 1st of 2012. And to say it was a shock, I had never been fired. I had never been laid off. I had no experience with this. I was in my late 40s. I thought I was on this W-2 land, everything's fine. And then everything, the bottom dropped out. I mean, depression, struggling, trying to figure out what I was going to do. My faith, my relationship with God and my faith was truly tested. It really, really was. And so much began to happen at that point because I realized I was totally helpless. I mean, the bills were going to get paid for a little while. I wasn't going to, go off the deep end right away. But I put so much value and that was my worth in the job and what I did and what do you do? And I tell people, and because I was good at what I did and I worked hard at it. And I thought, well, as long as I'm doing those things, I'm good. Well, it happened, and like a lot of people have ever dealt with a layoff or being fired, you're frustrated, you're mad, you're confused. Within a short period of time, I mean, I was on my knees, I was praying, I was trying to figure out what to do, and essentially, no audible voice, but God was like, "You need to invest. You need to buy a better computer. I need to focus on what I can do." And not what I just lost, and get past that, and everything's going to be okay. He's going to take care of me. He always did, and it was amazing. I mean, I poured our savings into a better computer. I started seeking out online voice work and online work that I could do without a lot of equipment, and voiceover was the natural transition because it didn't take a lot of gear. You had a microphone, and you had a computer, and you could send files. And so I found a couple of job platforms. And and things began to grow from there. I really didn't think that was going to be my thing. I really didn't think that voiceover was going to be my thing. I really thought that I was just waiting for that next job opportunity to come up. That next video editing or shooter or producer or director job was going to come up. I'd put in an application and I'd be jumping into another company and I'd be okay. It took me about 3 or 4 years of just doing freelance, of trying to figure out what to call myself. I'm a freelancer. I'm a gig guy. I do it by the gig. Um, all kind of names, self this, self that, solopreneur. I finally decided after about 3 or 4 years into this thing, when I had essentially doubled my salary from my good paying video editing job, because I was building up clientele and a portfolio of work, that I was now going to call myself a company. I was going to call myself a self-employed professional voice actor, on-camera guy, and storyteller. Or as I put it back then, I'm the voiceover with personality. That's what I would do for a lot of my online and social media work. I started throwing everything I was doing on social media. I had no idea how to market, professionally, so I was just making it up as I went. And I still kind of do. I've hired some people along the way to kind of help me and guide me. And when I fell off the rails a couple of times and kind of pulled back, it's been an amazing ride. I've been doing this, if you can do the math from back in the 80s, I've been doing this for over 40 years. In 2024, I celebrated media production in virtually every single area that you can fill. I've kind of done it. And for the last 13 years, I've been running my own media production company, or essentially Troy W. Hudson Professional Voiceovers LLC came to be around 2000, not 2000, I'm sorry. Uh, I think it was like 2020, I officially got the LLC. And so that's kind of been my trajectory and where I'm at right now. And I'm in a position now in my career where I love to kind of give back and pour into folks and, mentor and, just kind of help them, because you realize as you get further on, it's not about, oh, how much can I make this year? What can we put away? That's important because, I'm not going to do this for probably 10 years from now, but I could because of the nature of the business. Commercial work, narration work, e-learning, training, education, character voices, just all different kind of areas. The biggest crimp in my profession right now, and has been for the last year or 2 years, is of course what everybody talks about. You can't scroll through LinkedIn without seeing it or hearing it, and that's AI. Yes, AI. I said it. And it's a constant struggle of learning how to navigate the career field that I'm in, when at a moment's notice, everything I'm saying right now could be replaced if somebody captured that, and a model could be built, or, clients are choosing, a lot of clients that I've worked with are choosing to go the AI route, and they'll tap in. But then the flip side to that is a lot of people, after experiencing that inhuman, artificial sound, and some of them are good, but some of them are awful if you don't know how to use them. After trying those things out, they will come back to me and say, hey, can you fix this? Or, hey, can you listen to the AI track we just put down as a placeholder? And, because it's not saying this stuff right, and we can't figure out how to train it. And so that's actually been kind of a boon, because where part of it's, I'm losing some business to AI. I'm also fixing stuff that it can't figure out how to do, and the people using it can't figure out how to do. So it's a double-edged sword. I use it to write scripts. I use AI to do graphics. I use it personally, so I can't really criticize someone for finding a cheaper way to do something if the end result is I just want it to be good enough, or the budget just isn't there, or whatever reason they may have for using it. I get it. I totally get it. But I don't think yet it can quite tap into the human element and the nuances and the things that I do get hired to do, which are when you get very specific direction on what we're looking for. We want it deep. We want it sensitive. We want it angry. We want it some specific direction that they just can't quite get out of an artificial audio generator. It is what I call it. I know some people's like his voice on the air. No, he's not a his. He's not a him. So that's just forgive the rant, but it's more of a realization. 2 years ago, it was like scare. A year ago, it was like, oh crap, what's the bottom line look like? And now it's like, learn to live with it, make the best of it, put out what you can put out, and focus on what makes you different from an electronic,
Yeah,
tool. So that's kind of where I'm at.
that's great.
Yep.
Thank you for sharing all that background. You know what I love about the story? That one point where you said, um, living in your in-laws' house, two kids, want to get the hell out of there. You got two options of construction, which pays better than your passion. How did you wrestle with that? Because I know that's something that a lot of people are going to face, and they're like they really want to do this path, but they just don't have that opportunity yet. How did you get through that time, which I'm sure was incredibly challenging to come up with that decision?
It was very humbling because the expectation was, like I said, I was going to get out and somebody was going to snag up Troy, and I was thinking, oh, all this experience, and then to suddenly go ETS come up, and then June 19th, 1989, and I've let the family down. We move out of post housing, and we have nowhere to go but to our in-laws' house. And so clearly, I'm not just going to sit there. I'm putting in applications. I'm looking in the paper. This is pre-internet, so it's not like you can go online and find anything. So you're looking in the newspapers. You're looking in the want ads. And because of what I did, it's very niche. It's like, okay, how many TV jobs are in Columbia? I have no idea, but I'm still searching. I'm looking. I'm asking around locally. And my father-in-law was a foreman for a home builder, and he said, "Look, it ain't what you want, but it'll pay some of the bills, and it'll keep you busy while you're and keep you from sulking around." So I, put on the jeans, the t-shirt, and the hat, and went out and started doing whatever they wanted to. House cleanouts, mowing the grass on a tractor, anything and everything, cleaning bathrooms. I mean, like I said, it was very humbling. Uh, you know, Doing cement work, doing brick work. I mean, anything and everything just to make barely above minimum wage as a construction laborer, which is what he was hiring me to do. And so for 8 months that went on, and my wife and I are having discussions. It's like, there's got to be an end to this. And then it was like right at the same time, those two jobs came up: production director at a TV station, or golly, a forklift operator at a hazardous waste company. And I went to the hazardous waste company. I interviewed there, and the guy says, "Well, your qualifications are kind of different." I said, "I'm willing to learn." And so hard work I was never averse to it. It was just the aspect of this was not in the plan. And so I did the forklift training. I learned everything I needed to learn. And then the manager of the TV production department called me and came in for an interview, and he's looked at my resume, and he was like very impressed. He said, "Man, we could use you here." And I'm expecting, yes, finally. And he told me the salary, and I looked at the Safety Clean. Excuse me, I didn't mean to mention the name, but it doesn't matter at this point. I mentioned the hazardous waste company was going to offer me more, and I was like, "Oh, I know what I want to do, but I know what
Yeah.
my responsibility is to my family." And so I already had felt like I had kind of let them down, even though it, the circumstances, I did. I felt I let them down. Nobody could tell you that, I didn't, because that's the way I convinced myself that was the situation that I put them in. And so my wife and I had discussions. I think I even talked to my father-in-law about it, and it was a tough decision, because my wife was like, "We need to get out of here, and this will get us out of here quicker." And it really came down to her believing in me enough that allowed me to go, we're going to take a little less. We're going to get out of here. Just let me start this job. Let me get a couple of months of pay,
Yeah.
put it in savings, put a deposit down, and we'll get out of here. It'll be a little harder. It might take a little longer. And I think it was like Valentine's weekend or something in 1990. It was when I started the job. And within a couple or 3 months, we were out and in a townhouse we could actually walk around and have a home. And it was a rental, but it was an
Yeah.
amazing
Good
experience.
for
It
you,
taught me a
man.
lot.
Yeah.
So it was about her support ultimately, and just about me believing that I could
You
do it.
could do it. It's your
I could
belief.
do it.
Yeah. And look where that headed your career down the path it got down.
Good
So
choice. I
congrats.
mean, I
Anyway.
could have.
All
Who
right,
knows?
let's get to the meat now. I want you to give your best tips to these guys as they head out talking to executives in their industry, to setting up informational interviews, to going on real interviews. What are some easy things that they can work on or keep in mind to present with confidence?
All right, I'm going to attempt to share my screen.
Then Chris, we'll get to you as soon as he's done.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm not looking over at the chat. I apologize. So do you have my
Yep,
screen?
fire away.
All right. This essentially is called the power of your voice being heard and knowing when to shut up. As a professional voiceover artist and voice actor for a very, very long time, I've learned some communication tips that I want to share with you guys that might help you with confidence, anxiety, and delivery. Being directed live in live voiceover recording sessions, essentially that's being on camera or being interviewed, has taught me a few things over the years. Techniques that anyone can use that could be helpful if you're feeling uptight or nervous or in the hot seats, i.e., job interview. The biggest takeaway and the most important thing to remember is something a voice coach once told me. The number one thing he said, he always had to tell his students, was to slow down. He had to tell me that a few times when I was working with him. Slow down your delivery. And I have never, ever forgotten that. See if I'm trying to advance. Let me advance the slide. I'm trying to
Try the
advance the
space
slide.
bar, maybe. Space bar.
How about that?
There we go.
There we go. And he essentially told me to slow down the delivery, and I've never forgotten that part because I would rush through. In my world as a voiceover artist, I tell people that I get paid to talk to myself in a padded room. And almost every day, I literally interview for a new project by auditioning, sending in an audio file or a short proposal, and I send it off to a prospective client. Most of the time, it's all done online with no personal interaction. I'm not in the room with them. I do everything from my home studio in where we live in Georgia. But there have been a few times when a person wanted to Zoom call to put eyes on me, have a chat, to get to know me before hiring me, because sometimes these are long-term projects with potentially a lot of ongoing work. So they want to feel comfortable and they want that kind of one-on-one. I got to tell you, waiting for that call can be about as unnerving and stressful as any job interview. Are they going to like me? Am I what they're looking or listening for? Can I not blow this? What if my online connection goes bad and my computer crashes? Anybody ever experience that? Even with decades of experience and proof of good work, negative self-talk can creep in. So what I do is I focus on what I can control, slowing down, listening very closely to them, and breathing. One thing I sometimes do is a little research beforehand. There we go. And that is, I'll check out the business websites of the people I'm going to be dealing with or hopefully working with. I checked out LinkedIn profiles. I look if they have a YouTube channel to see what they're doing or have done with their business. Quick story, I recently worked with the Timex watch brand producing a series of commercial voiceovers in a live recording session on Zoom. There were two ladies there. the video producer and the marketing person for Timex. I was nervous. But I shared a true story of how my dad owned a Timex watch from back in the day, and voicing these ads brought back good memories. This was back when their slogan was, "Takes a licking, but keeps on ticking." Now, I could tell they appreciated that, since these spots were about young people preferring timepieces and other electronics in an analog world. It formed a connection between us, and the session went great. I was at ease, I listened to their directions, we joked around a little bit, and I delivered more than what they were hoping for. Now, y'all may or may not be able to make a connection with that, but you can relax a little if you have done a little homework and you have the opportunity to share a little bit of your history, your personal story, or your personality with someone. Kind of make it human. In my daily work, there's a huge variety. With some short scripts for car dealerships, there's No Time to Breathe. It's packing 45 seconds of copy or words into a 30-second commercial. I did a couple of them yesterday, so that's why I'm talking this way right now. I talk as fast as I can. On the other hand, on the other side of the spectrum, in what I do, an audiobook is completely different. I have produced and done them for the last 13 years, and I've done almost 90 titles, fiction and nonfiction. And the pacing in audiobook production is completely different, much slower. I'm telling someone a story. You breathe in between sentences. You pause between paragraphs to let a thought settle in. A great technique is to read a book out loud. I highly encourage this. It may seem goofy. It may seem a little odd and like, what's the point? I'll tell you why. It really doesn't matter what you read. What you do is you record yourself doing it. Practice it like you were telling someone a story. It can be a children's book. It can be a newspaper article. Newspaper? What's that? It can be an online news source. It doesn't matter. Just change the intonation and the pitch of your voice. Listen back to it. Honestly, I still don't really like the sound of my own voice when I have the headphones on, so I'm not wearing those today. Most people really don't. That's a proven thing. But listen to the voice, listen to the recording back like you're listening only to someone else tell you the story. Is it interesting? Does it sound flat? Practice speaking in a more animated way if it is. If it's too much and you're sounding like a car salesman, then back off, dial it back. The point is to tell a story, whether that be in a conversation, a social event, a presentation, or a job interview. So, breathe, don't rush, slow down, and don't try and fill in all the blanks. Those are the blank spaces with sound in between your next sentence with the dreaded no. Rushing your words doesn't make you sound smarter. It makes you sound nervous. It takes practice, and a good rule of thumb that I've found is even if you know the answer or you want to sound smart by answering quick and impress them, wait, pause naturally, nod, and then go give them the answer. You can practice doing it. Slow down, pause, nod. You're contemplating. It makes you look and appear, and in reality, it is more thoughtful. Even if you know the answer, it does give you time to kind of formulate, these are the right words I want to share. Is that too much? Is it too little? Is there a better example I could give? Something your brain is working on, not just going through an acting motion of, okay, he said pause. No, wait, I got to breathe first. And then I pause, and then I nod, and then I talk. It's not a mechanical thing. It becomes a natural thing if you practice before you get there. And I'll tell you, you'll stand out from other folks because most people, and way too much out of habit. And finally, probably the most important part of a conversation, interview, or presentation is the power of the pause. It accentuates the last thing that you said and allows the last thing you said to resonate with the listener. So that's essentially the power of your voice, knowing when to shut up and when to talk. I've got my information on the screen there if you want to check out my LinkedIn. I'm all the time posting regularly about voiceover production, communication. I've got multiple YouTube channels, but that's the one on the screen where most of my work ends up going, along with some series, that's not really a word, series that I'm working on for my business, part marketing and just part, I love to create media. So sometimes I just create it for the heck of it. So that essentially is me and what I wanted to share with you guys today about communication. And hopefully that helps somebody.
That is awesome. Do you have any quick tips for them for phone? A lot of them have to do they get like the first interview is a phone screen with a recruiter. Any things that they can keep in mind when they're on the phone? Because that's all the other person gets to evaluate is their voice. They don't get to
That's
see them.
Yeah, I really think that the silly, worthwhile though suggestion I offered, some people may think it's silly. I don't, because I know it works. Is the whole thing of reading out loud and hearing yourself. How you sound in your own head versus how you sound when you listen back to yourself. If you don't have a good feedback partner that can tell you that you're rambling, or you're kind of flat or monotone, you don't really know that. And if all you have is a phone call interview, if you are practicing speaking out loud and not just doing it all in your head or making a bunch of notes, and then you want to get to all the points, so you want to get to the point, well, I am, and this is what I've done, and this is my experience. Yeah, they can see that on a resume, but if they're asking you questions, they're probably trying to figure out, who you are, not just what you do. So hearing yourself read out loud, hearing your voice pattern, hearing your intonations, listening to how often you might say, um, uh, you're making all these sounds because you're afraid to let that gap, that silence work for you, as opposed to trying to fill every available moment with sound and audio. And that's a common thing that people do because they're nervous. And interviewers know that, and I know they probably expect that. But if you stand out from the rest of the folks with thoughtful answers, a slower pace of answering, I think that goes a long way in setting you apart from the rest of the candidates, in my opinion.
Yeah. Any tips? If someone is unhappy with their voice, I mean, we don't want to, is there anything they can do to maybe sound more, I don't know, if they want a little deeper voice, or they should just keep whatever they're doing naturally, just let it go and
Yeah, I
don't
think,
try to change.
people are always, most, like I said, most people are not satisfied with the way they sound. They don't like the sound of their own voices. They're we're our worst critic, and
Yeah.
I'm guilty of that too. I listen to myself every day for hours at a time, and my headphones are on my speakers, and I get tired of hearing myself. And I sometimes sit back and go, they like that? What? And so if you're dissatisfied, if it's because it's like nails on a chalkboard, or it's hard. I've never met anybody that was just like, oh, I don't want to talk to you, I don't want to listen to you, because it's distinctive. Everybody has a distinctive, only you, only yours voice and personality. And I think if you are just speaking and you're comfortable, don't worry about the resonance of it. Don't worry about the depth register. Don't worry about if it cracks a little bit. Don't worry about if it's a little bit high pitched. Don't focus on that. Focus on what's coming out
Yeah.
from brain to here, less than on what it sounds like, uh, because it doesn't sound like a radio voice, or it doesn't sound impressive or intelligent, or a certain accent, or whatever it is. Just embrace the fact that you are who God made you, and own that
Own it.
and
Yeah.
use it to the best of your ability.
Yeah, I love that. Give them you have a couple of your favorite voices you can share with them.
You do this to me every
I
time.
know, it's the
And
because I love it so much.
beforehand, I'm going, I hope he doesn't do that to me this time.
Who am I gonna do?
Well, I posted something on LinkedIn today, and it's impossible for me to get into that at this point, because I've been talking most of the afternoon. I have something queued up. I don't know if you'll be able to hear it though. I got hired to do. I get hired to do all kind of character voices. I've got special uh, projects, or special gigs set up on a website called Fiverr, where I will do a cowboy or a southern voice. You want a character in your video game or in your commercial? I'll do that for you. Yeah, I'll do that for you anytime. Not a problem, partner. And then I've got I've got just, kind of wise guy thing here. It called for the character to be kind of like snarky. And I did that for a commercial for a restaurant called, I don't even remember what it was called because they're not in business anymore. But it was like the whole thing was like a Godfather's pizza kind of thing. So there was no thing, there was tings, lots of tings. But the one I got over the weekend was one where they had, I think it's Uncle Joe, Grandpa Joe's candy shop or something like that, and they've got all these locations and they're expanding, and they're based in Pittsburgh. And the guy hired me. He's the owner and marketer. It's a wonderful candy shop, novelties, and their logo is a rubber chicken. Stick with me. This is serious work. I do this for a living. A rubber chicken, and they wanted the rubber chicken to talk because the rubber chicken was going to be put inside a fortune-telling booth, much like Zoltar, the gypsy fortune teller, if you've seen those old exhibits or old movies. So he described to me, the chicken needs to be quirky and it needs to have a good chicken voice. Directions. Sometimes they're not as direct as that. And we need it to just connect with the audience. We needed to grab their attention and then pull them over there so they'll put coins in there and then get these messages that are jokingly tell them, oh, I see in your future you need to go buy candy and try this and try that and get some sweets. So I had to come up with this over the weekend. I had too long to think about it and too many moments where I'm like out loud. My wife's used to this by this time and stopped talking in weird voices, and she stopped rolling her eyes years ago at me. She just expects it. And so from my head, from my childhood recesses, I'm thinking, Gypsy, what's the closest thing I can do to that? I don't know. The Count from Sesame Street. Ha! I love to count, and this is kind of gypsy. And so I sent him multiple different versions on Monday morning. I sent him a Southern chicken. I sent him a wise guy chicken. I sent him just a high pitched kind of goofy chicken, and then I sent him I am welcome to the candy shop. I love when you come. Sit down, we'll do your fortune for you. And they said, and the guy knew immediately what I was doing. And he said, we love the Count voice, but we don't want it to sound just like Count, so bring it up and add a lot of clucking in there. So I literally was clucking and into the lines, and I was going off script and goofing around with it. And I sent it to him, and the entire team of the marketing group that he hired were just ecstatic about it. And they even gave me a tip on top of the works. Go figure. I'm going to try to play you a really short. I don't know if you'll be able to hear this. Let me know.
While you're queuing it up, Keown wants to hear the Southern chicken.
The Southern chicken. Well, I kind of gave you a rambling version of that. Let me see if I can find the Southern chicken. The chicken Zoltar.
Foghorn Leghorn. I remember that guy. Colonel Foghorn, yeah.
That's not it. Where you at, Zoltar? All right, there it is. There's Zoltar. That's the chickens. Okay. These are the auditions. I'll play a few seconds. Let me know if you can hear it.
Oh, yes. I see your future becoming unusually colorful.
Did you hear that?
Yeah, we got it.
All right. I'm not sure which one is the Southern.
Yeah. I see your future becoming unusually colorful. The spirits reveal chewy things.
All right. I think this is the Southern one.
Bark, bark, bark. Oh, yes. I see your future becoming unusually colorful. The spirits reveal chewy things, crunchy things, and at least one candy that you forgot existed until this very here moment.
And so this was kind of the one they settled on.
Chicken, which fortune you picking? Yes, I see your future becoming unusually colorful. The spirits reveal chewy things, crunchy things.
So that's what I do for my day job.
Good stuff. Good stuff.
But sometimes literally on the same day, I could be doing e-learning narration and just switching the gears in my
Yeah.
head and in my mouth, or a car commercial, or any number of different things. And that's the amazing thing about this job that I absolutely love, is the variety, and the fact that the main thing I want to leave you guys is that the whole aspect of communication plays into just about every single field. I love that. I kind of interview almost every single day
Yeah.
with what I do, because yesterday I didn't know what work I'd have today. I don't know what work I'm going to have tomorrow. It's literally that fluid. And the thing I've always got to keep in mind is the kind of stuff I was sharing with you guys, and that is just live by what I'm preaching, and that is just slowing down, not rushing. If it's a live session, just being relaxed. Even if I'm not feeling it, I'm going to project that. Even if I don't know I don't know exactly what they want, because they're directing on the fly and they haven't communicated that, or they don't know anything that they want. I'm listening to them. I'm carefully trying to home in on what's the thing I can do for them to set myself apart from, like, why did they hire me? They hired me because they heard something, and I'm my foot's in the door.
Yeah.
This could work out. Have the confidence to just kind of step out there, calm yourself down, and when all else fails, if you don't know something, and this is tried and true for me, it's just like, well, honestly, I don't know. And if I can find out, and I can get back to you, or we can try this, and if you don't like that, if we're recording something, then if you need to call me back, I'm absolutely available. Being nice, flexible, and just being yourself, not trying to put on something you're not,
Yeah.
goes a long, long, long way.
Spot on. Troy, thank you so much, buddy. This was amazing. I always love it. It's so entertaining for me, and I appreciate you immensely, buddy.